Hello, this is Diane Gremmel for the New Era Times. We're here with noted astrologer Ginger McCord, and today we're talking about her magazine, the Indigo Sun, the Aquarian Age, and what it was like to be psychic and intuitive before the Aquarian Age was quite started. So Ginger, you had, we were talking earlier, you had a lot of experiences with feeling sort of outside of the loop of others because you were having these experiences, being drawn into learning more about your psychic ability, learning about the stars, and there weren't very many people around who were like you.
Well, that I knew about.
Yes.
I'm sure they were there, but I didn't know about them.
It was an underground movement.
Right, it was.
So at what point did you come to a feeling that you needed to start a magazine that would talk about these things? Because as you said, a lot of it wasn't talked about.
No, as people would come into the little store, they'd bring their cards and flyers, and we had a huge bulletin board, and if you were on your path, as they would say, you could come there and get a business card of a psychic or a healer or somebody to clear your house, or, you know.
An information center.
Right.
Yes.
And so I thought, what if we put all this in one little book, and then people could just, and I had a friend of mine, my astrology teacher, to write an article. We got a psychologist to write an article. We got a hypnotherapist. And, you know, and then we had a place for events. And then it grew into a service directory. And it just started growing.
And eventually you had a full-blown metaphysical magazine.
And at the time, I was, you know, trying to update my resume to go find a job and everything. Well, we started the magazine. I got a beeper and an answering service. You know, this is before mobile phones or internet. And it just started, the phone just started ringing, and people, we put out a mock issue, I think in May. No, I'm sorry, in March. And then by April the 1st, I mean, it was full, and we had all of our printing costs, and it has paid for itself ever since. That was 21 years ago.
So there were a lot of people, a lot more people out there wanting to know and wanting to learn than you ever dreamed of.
Right. I mean, it just took off. And then the next thing, we did it, you know, I was in Houston, and then people in Dallas wanted it, and then people in Austin.
So you're still expanding to this day.
Yeah, I send it to whoever wants it, you know. And, you know, I've never, like, sold an ad or anything. People would call us.
You don't have to sell
I've
the
never,
ads, they sell
it's
themselves.
like,
that's right.
But basically, I don't want anyone in the magazine that doesn't want to be in the magazine.
Yes.
Because it's got a special energy.
Yes,
you know?
it really does.
And every once in a while, I wonder, why am I doing this? But not too long ago, I got a call from a young man in Dallas, and he said, I just picked up your magazine. I've never seen anything like this. I'm just so glad this is here. And I think he was like 18. And he was like, I'm just so happy to know that something like this exists. And, you know, and he wanted to talk to me.
You truly are an accidental publishing magnet. You sort of fell into it.
Right.
And
I did.
And yet you really were guided each time, it sounds like.
I was. I do believe that. I've always felt like that it belongs to universal spirit, and I'm just the caretaker.
Yeah, the caretaker. So when you, the first metaphysical store in the United States was in Houston, Texas. It was called the Aquarian Age.
Bookstore.
Okay. And so bookshelf. And so what about the Aquarian Age? What does that phrase mean to you? We talk about the age of Aquarius. We brought the pillow in that says Aquarius on it.
Yeah. And then there was the song.
Yes.
The dawning of the age.
I'm not going to sing it for you.
And I remember that, And it was like, I'd heard the term, but I didn't really know what it meant. Different people have different theories about what it means.
Yes.
But astrologically, there's cycles that are 2,000-year cycles. And it goes backward from the order of the signs. So we're leaving the Piscean age, which is about sacrifice and suffering.
And what is the Aquarian Age about?
And the Aquarian Age is when you don't, it doesn't mean that your suffering and your struggles are going to stop, but you don't have to hang on the cross and suffer with it. You have to acknowledge it, deal with it, and then go on. And one of the ways to handle that, like the symbol of Aquarius, I guess we can even show this little pillow.
I'd love to know.
You
what
see
is
the
this
water
age about?
coming out of the vessel here?
Yes.
A lot of times you'll see Aquarius is a man or a woman holding a big vessel and pouring out water. And the purpose of that is that they're not carrying that water for themselves, they're carrying it for everyone.
Okay.
So we're all in this together. You
Okay.
know, it's all for one and one for all.
So you see the age of Aquarius as an age of coming together.
Yes.
Okay. What else does the sign of Aquarius tell us about this age?
Well, it's also like you can't get into personal feelings or personal, it's like what's ever good for the tribe. It's not, you know what I'm saying?
So this is more about unity. It's about keeping each other from suffering by working together and working as a group, working as a unit.
Right, and there's different ideas of when does the Aquarian age start and when does it end.
Okay.
But when you're dealing with a 2,000-year cycle, and this is a cycle within a cycle, like they were talking about the Mayan calendar.
Yes.
Can be a 56,000-year cycle.
Fascinating, yes.
You know, it goes. I can't give
all the different calendars and all the different cycles.
Right.
Yes.
But when you're dealing with that, it's not like a day or an event.
Right.
It's like, I think for the last maybe 50 years, maybe 100 years,
yes,
we've been in transition.
So we've
had one foot over and one in the other.
Yes.
But I do believe that we're probably, and with the onset of the internet, we are all connected, you know, in a magical way. Can you imagine? No one owns the internet. There's no end to it.
Amazing thing. It's a giant brain trust. It's incredible. And
it goes along with anything that's technological is ruled by Uranus or Aquarius. Uranus rules the sign of Aquarius.
Okay.
And so anything you plug in, anything that's technology is ruled by that.
So this is a time when technology is going to help us to all come together. So if someone needs medical advice, there are a lot of other people saying, I've been through this. This is something you can do. That's something you do.
And you can research it and
and
talk to forums with other people that are experiencing the same thing that you're experiencing.
So Uranus means basically a lot of electronic media can help bring us together and educate us. And so
He's known as the Great Awakener.
Is there anything we need to watch out for in the age of Aquarius?
Well, yeah, you can already see it in a way. You have to learn discernment on what to believe and what not to believe, because just because you see something in writing doesn't mean it's true.
That is for certain.
It's important for you to tune into yourself.
Yes.
And learn yourself. We have to get into this idea of God consciousness, because the Aquarian age is about man taking on God consciousness. In the Piscean age, we learn about God consciousness from, Buddha was 500 years before Jesus, and then we have the Hindu religion, which I think is the oldest religion. But it's like all of these things are coming together for us all to understand and utilize.
Right.
And I think there's truths in all the great religions.
Yes.
And we're here to learn them and to acknowledge, take what you need and leave the rest. I learned that in 12-step groups. Is like you everything you hear may not be what you need, but there may be
good.
Take what you need. And and another thing is you can't always judge the person. You may need to look at the work.
Yes.
Look at the art. Don't judge the artist.
You got it.
I'm
with you.
A good example is John Lennon and George Harrison. I mean, they were part of the Beatles, and they both promoted love and higher consciousness, and no, let's end war, imagine no war, imagine us all coming together one. But then they didn't even speak to each other the last few years of their life.
And so
they still had those inner turmoils going on.
Decide to accept the message. And with that, we're going to take a brief break, and we are going to come back for more of the message about the Aquarian age and more about astrology with Ginger McCord. We'll be right back. Hello, I'm Diane Gremmel with the New Era Times, and we're back with noted astrologer Ginger McCord. Today we're talking about the Aquarian age, astrology, and how you can bring astrology into your own life to make it more productive, more sound, and better in general. So, Ginger, when you think about the individual, often what we're presented with as astrology are 12 little blurbs in the newspaper that say, you will run into a difficult situation today, or you will meet somebody. How do you relate to those 12 little blurbs? Is that something that we should even be reading, or is that more for fun?
I think it is interesting. I think everybody has a misconception about astrology. Well, not everybody, but I think a lot of people do. The general idea is, how can you be so general about everybody?
Right.
How can you be individual?
Okay.
But once you start learning the 12 signs and the corresponding planets that go with them,
Yes.
they're symbolic. Everybody wants to take things literally.
Mm-hmm.
Where actually it's a symbolic language.
Okay.
And it's like, there's a wonderful astrologer who wrote a book called Being a Lunar Person in a Solar World.
I like that.
And a solar world that's the sun. That's what shines, and that's what everybody
Yes.
sees, and that's your personality. And that's outside. We all see the sun during the day, and it's what we. That's
what
when
it
people
stands
are in
for,
the
yes.
rat race and trying to get ahead and
Yes.
everything. But lunar people, they kind of resonate to the moon, where they're more inward
Yes.
and they're more symbolic.
Yes.
So if you choose to live your life symbolically, it's a whole different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
You look for signs.
Mm-hmm.
You look for inner encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
So chances are, if you're watching this video or you're even interested, you're more probably a lunar person, because that's a person who's interested in the occult,
Yes.
the mystery, things that you can't see.
Uh-huh. Well, let me ask you, if you look at a chart, can you find out more about who that person is as a person, or more about what's going to happen in their life? Or is it about 50-50?
Well, you can't look at a chart, just look at someone's chart and you don't know that person. You really can't say anything about that person because you don't know how that person is utilizing their strengths and weaknesses.
Okay.
Like Hitler and Gandhi had similar charts.
I've heard that. Yes.
Right, it doesn't mean, Hitler could have been Gandhi and Gandhi could have been Hitler. They
So
both were going to impact the masses.
If your chart says that you're very sensitive, you could use that in a negative way or a positive way.
Right.
Okay.
So you don't know where a person is until you talk to them.
Okay.
And ask them, what's been going on in your life? How are you using this?
You can see certain challenges that they may have.
Exactly.
Okay.
In cycles. So the kind of astrology that I do study and use is more like Jungian astrology.
Okay.
And he used dream interpretation, symbols, and he talked about the universal archetypes. And these universal archetypes live in our psyche. And the ancient Greeks knew this, and that's why they had, they called them gods and goddesses.
Right.
And people misinterpret that as being a religion, but it's really not.
They're
That was
talking-
just
yes.
their way of describing a human psyche.
Right.
And each one of those gods and goddesses, say Venus for instance,
Right.
she rules how we love
Yes.
and your priorities.
Yes.
A lot of it has to do with self-love and self-worth.
Right.
And the sign Taurus is ruled by Venus,
Yes.
and that has to do with money and how you utilize your talents
Yes.
and how you feel about yourself and how you attract money to yourself or you repel money.
Right.
So she acts like a magnet. What's attracted to you and what you're attracted to.
Okay.
So she has to do with love and seduction and things like that, of that nature.
Okay.
So these archetypes are living, breathing, like people or inside our psyches, and you can communicate with them. They're there to help, like the muses.
Okay.
They're there, and each person has their own unique set, just like you have a unique set of fingerprints.
So astrology is more about looking at the unique combination of different energies that are affecting us while we go through this incarnation, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
And I try to encourage people to learn the symbols because they are ancient. It's ancient symbols. Nobody knows the origin of them really, but they're universal. A circle means spirit with a little dot in the middle. That's the symbol for the sun. So we're all here to express ourselves, and that little dot in the middle is you. So we are all the center of our own universe. And that's even what the symbol of the sun represents.
Okay. So when you teach an astrology student, you teach from a Jungian aspect, you really go more into the symbolism and the energy of each planet as opposed to the astrological symbols. And
Well,
the
yeah,
things
well,
that we
it's
use.
it's all combined together.
It's a dance,
It's not
yes.
one or other.
Yes.
You know, I do believe that all of those symbols, since they are ancient, you know, you see them carved in caves and things. Especially the symbol for the moon, which is the crescent. You know, and it rules our feelings and emotions. So you look at it as a bowl or a cup holding your feelings, your past. That's why it's you know, it's so powerful. So without the moon, the sun would have no purpose to shine.
Correct, yes.
So the moon gives us purpose. So it's our feelings and emotions that we can't explain.
So you look at the dance that all the planets do together. Which one?
They all work
affects
together to make
which
the
one?
sun shine.
Absolutely.
That's their job.
Yes. Okay.
You know? So you just have to learn, you know, how is your Jupiter placed, and is he being blocked from helping the sun?
Right.
What can we do to get Jupiter activated in your chart?
So
You
this is
know.
something you help people with.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I ask you, what can a person do to really use astrology to help themselves in their everyday life? Do you suggest they go to someone like you who is a master astrologer and have their chart done and see an astrologer on a regular basis, or what is your recommendation?
Well, there was a time when you had to do that, but now we have the internet.
Okay.
You can go there. There's some, well, you know, the internet's like life. There's good and there's bad. You know, there's good sites, but there's a few on there that I really recommend that my beginning students look at, or anyone that wants to learn. Once you know your chart, you don't have to have an astrologer do that anymore. You know, that's why it's so interesting. But I believe that all these symbols and everything are encoded in our DNA. And once you start playing with them, you activate them.
Okay.
And they will become alive. I even dream about them sometimes, you
Okay.
know. So, but I believe that the Aquarian age is about coming together in groups of like mind. It doesn't matter what you could be studying how to polish doorknobs.
Okay.
If that is what your passion is, then get with other people who want to do that.
And learn and share from those other people. So,
I believe that we all should come together in small groups. Jesus and Buddha taught in small groups.
Yes.
You know, I mean, you teach classes in
Right.
psychic development.
Yes.
So I think it's important for whatever is that you feel passionate about, whatever attracts you. You know, if you have the time and you have the money and there's someone that's willing
to join and joy with other people who
join
are
in whatever
like-minded.
group
Yes.
that resonates with you. Don't join a group just because, oh, I should learn accounting and I should learn how to survive. You know, no, take a class like an art class or something that resonates to your soul.
Follow your
And
passion. Yes.
Follow your passion. You know,
That
and then
is,
everything else will fall into place.
Absolutely fantastic
You know?
message for the age of Aquarius. So you heard it here today from Ginger McCord, master astrologer, publisher of the Indigo Sun magazine for the last 21 years. You heard it today. The age of Aquarius is about finding your passion, joining others, utilizing that joy. And as you move through the Aquarian age, we at the New Era Times thank you, and thank you also, Ginger. It's
Thank
been a
you,
pleasure.
Diane. Thank you very much.